Hey everybody, welcome to CKAMAs. Tonight's guest, like many of you, comes from a non-traditional background and made the move into data science by route of Bootcamp. Having originally transitioned from teaching into data science, he's made full circle and now instructs many students as they make their own transitions into data science themselves. Please turn your cameras on, unmute yourselves, and help me in welcoming one of Flatiron School's senior data science instructors, Rafael Carrasco. Welcome, Rafael.
Hey, Rafael.
Welcome.
Hey.
Great. That was a great intro. One of the best I've ever had, if not the best. It was awesome. Thank you all for having me. Yeah, as Melvin said, I do have a non-traditional background. I will get into that in a little bit, but one thing that Melvin did say is if you can't put your cameras on, I would really appreciate it. I teach online and tell my students to do this all the time because it's weird looking at a bunch of black screens. It's not something like I feel more comfortable whenever I get to see faces. So please know that it is, for me, it is a very self-serving request, but I really appreciate it. Yeah, so just like a little bit about my background. I actually have a couple of degrees in mathematics. So I was big into mathematics in undergrad, and I think undergrad was probably my most transformative educational experience, aside from the boot camp experience that I had, just because I had an amazing mentor the entire time. And he's still my mentor today in mathematics, and helps me just become a better thinker. I struggled a lot whenever I first went to undergrad, and having gone through that and learning how to think was probably like the greatest gift I could have ever gotten. And I had always wanted to teach, and so then I pursued a master's in mathematics after that, just so I could make a greater impact in education. But shortly thereafter, did my master's in education and taught for a number of years, and was laid off from a job, which was just a earth-shaking and earth-shattering experience. If you've ever been laid off kind of like out of the blue, it's not fun. It's not something that is like easy to go through. It was definitely sent me in like this, what do I do now kind of thing. And I had like a bitter taste in my mouth about teaching, having gone through like the horrible politics of school systems and all that other stuff. And then a friend kind of told me about data science, and I didn't even know what it was. I had been coding in Python just for fun. And then I learned it uses statistics, which I didn't really know too much. Linear algebra, which I knew a lot of, and Python, which I knew enough of. And I did a boot camp. My boot camp experience was like super intense. I did an in-person boot camp in Austin, Texas. So I live here in Irving, Texas. If anyone's from Texas, shout out. And then during that boot camp experience, I lived pretty much out of my car because it was in another city for 3 months. Was friendly enough that some people would let me sleep on their couches, which was cool. Finished it, came back to Dallas and got a job and worked in AI building kind of like a chatbot for Bank of America on their app, and worked in ad servicing as well for an ad agency. And then after a couple of years of that, decided to go back into teaching. And so here I am now. So that is kind of the whole trajectory in a nutshell. Sorry, but I just wanted to give you that background. But I'm excited to hear the questions that y'all have and help you out in any way that I can.
Yeah, let's get some questions fielded right here for Raphael. Does anyone currently have a question for Raphael? You guys can go ahead and like unmute yourselves and then show your cameras, hopefully, so we can make this a little bit conversational, and then also drop your questions in the chat. But if not, I can go ahead and start, get the ball rolling with a couple of questions myself.
Hey, you do that.
So, what was that?
You do that. We're following you.
All right. All right, Vlad. Gotcha. Cool. So, Raphael, we actually did get a good amount of questions beforehand. Were there any particularly that you kind of do get on a regular basis that you feel kind of just covers those bases for a lot of folks?
Yeah. So I did answer some in the discussion board, which I want to reiterate on one of those. A question that I get a lot is like, can I do this if I'm not good at math, right? And I want to differentiate that question from, can I do this if I don't like math? I would say if you don't like mathematics and you're kind of set on that, one, I would say let's just not take strong opinions on awesome things yet. Like, let's be open to learning and loving all things forever, right? Like, you never know whenever you'll like something in life. I used to hate Jane Austen, and now I kind of just, she's okay now. So that dial has changed for me in my life. But I would say, like, for the person asking, can I do this if I'm not good at mathematics? Like, to be honest, you need to know math, right? That's part of it. You just have to. And when you do a boot camp, we give you assessments to assess your ability to learn the concepts as we teach them. And the admissions process is designed that way because we don't want to see like how good you are at math. We want to see, okay, if I introduce them to a topic, can they learn it right now with what they know? And so I would say, like, trust in that admissions process in boot camps. And then I would also say, like, there are some things that are just going to be difficult. Like anything new, there's just roadblocks and hurdles and all those things that come with learning. But like, I really do believe that persistence and having the right attitude, that's like 90% of it, in my opinion, from having done it and having taught it. If you just stick with it and try things and are not afraid to fail and are not afraid to learn and are not afraid to like be encountered with things that are difficult, but are like excited about that, like I feel like that's the biggest takeaway. So like, can you do this if you're not good at math? Well, it's like, well, no, but you're not. First of all, whatever it means to be good at math, that's like a weird thing, but you will get good at math if you just have a great teacher and like will learn and are open to learning and are open to like believing that you will get good at it. I'm a really big believer in self-belief, but also in scaffolding, right? Like, I believe one day if I wanted to, I could run a marathon. I probably could not do it this weekend, right? Like, I need practice and I need to be set up and I need to train and I need to like condition myself to do it, but I could 100% believe that. So I feel like changing that mindset from like, I'm not good at math to I'm not good at math yet, or whatever concept it is that you're learning, is most of the battle. I've had students come in from all sorts of backgrounds, many of them not mathematical, and they're working now in data science. So like, if the question is like, I don't have a background in math, can I do this? The answer is yes. That is like, there's evidence of it all around us. So
yeah, that shift of mindset of being from not good at this versus not good at this yet is actually tremendously powerful and definitely a thing that everyone here should take, regardless if it's math or any other types of subjects. Raphael, did you have have you noticed certain patterns with the people that you've instructed that kind of help them shift into that mindset? Is there like some sort of, magic moment, not really a magic moment per se, but something that really helps them kind of get out of their way, you know what I mean? By like getting themselves out of their own way.
yeah, I think it's different for everyone. And one thing that I love about Flatiron. Just, I mean, I'm here, so I'm gonna plug us right now. But like one thing that I do love about our boot camp is we have educational coaches, which are like professionals at coaching people for careers or for their life. They usually have some kind of a degree in psychology. They're super amazing people, and some students need to remember why they're doing the boot camp in the first place. Like, I think that's a really big part of it. Some students just need to see a little glimmer of success somewhere. Some students need to write a reflection on the growth that they've overlooked in the last week, right? One thing I tell my students is every day you're learning something brand new. So it can feel like you're just constantly not good at anything because you're just learning something new every single day. And one thing I like to do is just every couple of days reflect on what you didn't know last week and what you do know now. And I feel like that's a great exercise to help someone remember, like, oh my God, I'm learning and I'm growing and I'm awesome. And so there's no like one thing. I feel like we, at least at our school, have a support system for students to help them find that one thing that will kind of get them, whether it's like attainable and I can't think of the word, but like measurable things that they can see and they're tangible, or whether it's just remembering why they're there to change their life. Like I have seen all of them work for everyone. So
Yeah, love that. It looks like is it AR? It looks like that's the Zoom name that we're seeing here, but yeah, go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, sorry, my name is Andrew. I just want to thank you just for just coming on and just dropping some knowledge on us. Cool. So I guess what advice do you have for somebody who's trying to come into, I guess, data science coming from a statistical background in academia? Because, yeah, right now the job market's kind of shaky in academia right now.
Yeah. I would say like stats is super helpful. And you're gonna need to know it. And I think like the biggest advice, so here's another question, which is like, what do you recommend someone learns before they go into a boot camp? And there's like mathematics and statistics and coding, right? There's like kind of like a 3-in-1. I always recommend people learn coding the most. I 100% recommend that every time. So like for someone coming with a statistics background, learn how to code like as best as you can before you start. If you're coming from some other background, learn how to code in Python. Like,
okay, so Python specifically, not necessarily maybe something like R or anything else.
I mean, you could do R. The benefit of, so like there's, I guess, the R versus Python debate, which I feel like languages just, they're languages. They all serve a purpose, right? Sometimes one's better than the other. Sometimes one can do something the other, whatever. I'm not really like married to a language, but I would say if you're going into a job market that is heavy with Python, you're about to do a boot camp in Python, look, you should just learn Python for the sake of your own ease of the program. Because what the programming language becomes is your way of expressing your thoughts. And if that is hard, if just the language itself is hard, the language, right? That self-expression becomes hard. And so you can ease that expression by just learning the language, right?
Okay.
So I would recommend to anyone of any background, whether it's statistics, non-technical or whatever, just get comfortable with coding, get comfortable with logical thinking and writing basic, simple things. Any of it will be helpful. Like I guarantee you, because at some point you're going to think, how can I take this idea in my head and put it into code? And if you know the code, you can do that somewhat effortlessly. So,
okay, cool.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, it did.
If it didn't, just like tell me to answer. I'm happy to do it.
You're doing great, Rafael. All right, Vlada, would you like to ask your?
Yeah, I need to ask question. I'm 55, going on like 25, but 55, my cognitive possibility. Oh, I'm sorry. Somebody's. Did I just get disconnected? Somebody just called me.
Yeah, no worries. Go ahead. Continue.
What do you recommend? I mean, the thing is, it's like I did coding. I did coding up to maybe 25 years ago, and I stopped and I didn't touch it for 25 years, and now I'm going back. Everything is familiar, but it is more substance, and my cognitive abilities are not the same as when I was 30.
Right.
You know what I mean? So do you think that, by the time I need to retire, I will catch up to coding? I mean, you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I think I know what you're trying to say.
Is it worth it? Is it worth it that I start learning code? Plus, another thing, I have a terrible back. I just had the surgery, and I'm still trying to figure out, is this going to be, a lot of sitting? So.
Yeah, well, I mean, is it worth it is such a personal question. I feel like I would not be equipped to answer that as well as you would, but I can just give you some. So my experience with students who are older, because I have taught older and am currently teaching older students, and by older, let's just say 50 and up, whatever. Let's just put a number on it. Maybe it's 40 and up. Who cares, right? But just older.
Okay.
They typically do well in the program if they just follow their commitments to showing up to things, to making sure their work is done on time, to communicating their needs. So like if they need more time to learn a skill, let's push them back a month in their progress so they can like really learn that skill and set themselves up for success. But that's really any student. It's not really just older, younger, whatever. Communicating your needs is just like, in fact, that's an insanely important soft skill that I feel like a lot of students, the ones who are successful do that well. In fact, older students typically do that better because they have practiced language longer and they're like able to communicate their needs very explicitly. But yeah, I mean, I would say like if it's something that you've wanted to learn in your life, like I think it's worth it. I think a boot camp is really great because it provides structure and support. And so, and like the person who's your instructor has probably taught older students and can give you that perspective, or connect you with another student who's older so y'all can share perspectives, or a student who's been through the program. But as far as like, is it worth it? I don't know if I should answer that. I don't.
No, maybe I didn't word it right, because the thing is like learning code could be like it takes people anywhere from 4 to 9 months to a year. By the time I learn coding, I'm a bit too old and decrepit for to look for a job.
Yeah, I think that's where it's good to sit down and like map it with an admissions counselor and like really think about the program you're interested in and seeing if it aligns with your goals at present. That would be my biggest advice, is like arm yourself with the knowledge of the program you're entering, what you want to do, have clear goals set up, and just work through that with someone who's involved in the boot camp that you're looking at.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
thank you much.
That is that is the job of the admissions counselor, is to like arm
Mhm.
knowledge.
Yeah, and it's also Wada, I wouldn't place too much emphasis on your age. I feel like these are certain limitations that we put on ourselves, and the reality is that it's never too late. You know, like it's always a good time to start today, right now. And
It's
so,
it's easy. I remember when I was your age, I used to say, "Oh, it's so easy." Now, once you get a little bit older, it changes a lot. But you know much more, so you see through all the BS. But the thing is, it's like I really, like I was thinking for the last 10 years about cybersecurity, and that's what I'm pursuing right now.
Yeah.
right. I think even with like your years of experience, you can always add that flavor to whatever sorts of problems you are, facing as a data scientist. And so you actually get to add that perspective, and that's actually something that's your secret power. So definitely don't let yourself and your age be that limiting factor. So
Okay.
definitely keep moving forward and just decide what's good for you.
Thanks,
Awesome.
bud.
So it looks like,
Mm.
for sure, it looks like Carolyn Nelson. Do you have a question for Raphael?
Yeah, I'm unmuted. Sorry about the noise. First of all, I just want to share a little something. There's a group called, I think, Gray Coders, because I'm 55, and it's a pretty good group for people that's like 50 and up. So it's pretty good. But I have a question. My question is, I'm at the point where I want to enroll in the Flatiron for the boot camp there. But I got a little apprehensive because they recommend that you take these prep classes before you start, or you can take them simultaneously with applying to a boot camp. And so what I did, I started taking some of these prep classes. I don't think they're from Flatiron. I think it's somebody on Career Karma sent me some ideas or something. So I went there to start practicing the prep classes before I actually enrolled into the boot camp with Flatiron. I like them the best. But what happened is I had a difficult time, and I haven't completed it yet. I had a difficult time past certain stages. I got stuck. Like, for instance, it was just like basic coding, and when you would add in an event. But my thing was, the reason why I'm apprehensive, if I cannot even get through the prep classes, then I'm like, how am I going to make it? Now, I don't have a background in math. I only have 2 years from community college, but I started working in the computer lab in community college, and I learned a little about information technology. I learned a little about JavaScript, some about coding, but I just know the basics, and probably not even that. And only thing my question is, do you really think that a person with my limited knowledge can be successful? Because I got stuck on the prep classes, and the most I ever did regarding coding or programming is, I don't even know if they have this. It might be obsolete, but a long time ago, to show you how long it was ago, some friends introduced me to Dreamweaver. And they're like, you can build your own website, and you see the codes on one side. And that's about the basics I have. So Flatiron has gave me one of the schools of interest, but now I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to keep rambling. I'm just apprehensive. If I can't get past the prep classes, how am I gonna, make it to the school?
Yeah, I think that's, first of all, thank you for sharing that. Having apprehensions, and this is, everything that you said is very real, and I don't want to like disregard it with some kind of, oh, you'll be fine if you just, no, like it's a very real thing, right? And so I think it takes, one, I would challenge you to like change that mindset from saying, if I'm not successful with this, to like, if I'm not successful with this yet, right? And like, I think whenever so for instance, I've seen students who come in where they're like not completely prepared to do the full-time pace. So like because the full-time pace moves, I mean, it's rapid every day. It's just quick. But they have the ability to do it. They just need to like learn a little, like build their basics up a little bit more. And so we basically plan out a roadmap for that student. Like, here's what you really need to learn to continue succeeding, but it just takes more time. And so I think one thing that would be helpful is for one, like you're doing a great job of communicating what you need right now, but doing it with someone who's in the boot camp, and then having someone sit with you and say, hey, here's where you're at. Here's your goal. Here's what you need to like accomplish that goal, or at least get to the next phase of the goal, which is like getting into the boot camp. How can we get you there? Right. And like understanding like the true just things you need to learn, the things that you need to equip yourself with, and not being afraid of whatever that workload looks like, right? Because it's just like the reality of the situation, and at any point it's your choice. I think like another thing that I love about Flatiron is it really is a student's choice. Like you can choose to do the work in front of you or not, but to accomplish your goal, you have to, like, there's the work. Like there's no going around the work, and if you want to do the work, we'll help you out. But it's your choice. And so I think for someone who's in that same position where maybe they're a little hesitant due to some admissions work or some kind of pre-work, that's good information. Like, you know where you stand, you know what else you need to learn. And if it's something that you want to do, I would reach out and figure out how can I learn this so I can then move on to the next step. And it's just like being self-empowered and equipping yourself with knowledge and having the ability to just move forward is like always the important thing. So where are you at? Where do you want to go? What is it going to take? And just like having that roadmap every single time. Super, super crucial.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, super relatable to that, even that last question beforehand. So yeah, thank you for sharing your question, Carolyn. Armin, looks like you're up.
Hey, thank you very much, you guys. I appreciate providing this opportunity for us. So my question is basically, how do you see this, this field, which I think is relatively new, how do you see it growing? Do you think it will go beyond programming and coding? And also in terms of the pay, do you think it will reach to the point that the data scientists and programmers will be paid the same amount? Thank you.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. There's a lot of theories on where the field's going to go. Some people are really banking on like the causal inference field to really take over. Some people are looking at deep learning. Some people are looking at maybe some kind of like generalized system to spin up machine learning, whatever. There's like all these different theories about where the field's going to go. And I have no clue where the field's going to go at all. I would say that no matter where the field goes, I am confident in my ability to like pick up and learn whatever I need to learn to be relevant in the field. And I think that's one of the biggest things to learn from a boot camp, especially a boot camp where you have to pick up and learn something new very rapidly. Is like so like for instance, the scikit-learn library is like super popular in Python. That may be obsolete in like 10 years, right? You may have to learn something new. Python may be obsolete in 10 years. Who knows? But like the ability to pick up things and learn is like the important skill that you really get out of a boot camp. And as far as like who's going to get paid more in the future, I have no clue. I think we'll know more as, I mean, there's just like certain technologies that are being worked on right now, and if some of them succeed, then I would bank on programmers becoming more important. And if they don't, which is more likely, then the data scientists will probably continue to get paid more. And the reason the data scientist gets paid more is probably due to supply and demand. That's probably part of the equation. There's less people who know it. And then it can directly impact the bottom line of a business if you have a good data scientist with good, like, with a good acumen for the business that they're working in. So, and I don't know what else goes into that equation. I'm sure, I don't understand why data scientists get paid what they do, but those are two things that I would say probably are in that in that equation somewhere.
Right. No, data scientists have a very stressful job. That's for sure.
Yeah, depending on who you work for. We were more research, so it was like just failing all the time at trying to solve a very difficult problem. And it was fun and horribly stressful because we constantly failed. It was very difficult.
For sure. Yeah. Thank you for the answer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
I think Brian, you're next.
Yep, Brian.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So I was wondering, within the data science bootcamp, at what levels between like general statistics with like distributions, p-tests, t-tests, and like z-tests versus supervised and unsupervised machine learning versus like data pipelining, where does the data science bootcamp kind of leave you at the end of it? And at what proficiency in each of those categories would you like say are required in order to move into a data science role? Or, yeah. And then also what's the difference between like moving to a data science role versus more of a machine learning engineer type role?
That second one, I don't know if I can speak too much on, because the machine learning engineering role is very new. That's like a very new role that's starting to come up for like a research scientist, which is why like I hate the whole titles of jobs, because like it's so ambiguous sometimes. But the first one I can answer. You become proficient enough to work in industry with people who studied this at a PhD level. Like that's by far the truth. In our boot camp, we cover statistics very, very much in depth. You go over t-testing, ANOVA testing, pairwise testing. You do A/B testing, a lot of different approaches to like a frequentist approach to stats. You also do many machine learning methods, and where you're using your Bayesian statistics as well, and all of that plus the programming, like you're well equipped to work. Yeah, we found that like in comparing students who leave PhD programs in statistics, they do have obviously a very in-depth knowledge of statistics because they studied it. But depending on the program, some of them don't always code as much as they probably should be. And that's just a program-specific thing. It's not generalized over all PhD programs, but that's just my anecdotal experience, at least. So yeah, you're proficient enough in the realms of stats that really matter in data science.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. And then Alexis.
Hi, thank you once again for joining us. This is amazing. So I now no longer am struggling with that math question, so thank you for that. But the issue or the question I do have is around data visualization. I'm interested in that because of my background in media, but also I like data science because of the coding and the math aspect of it. But I want to know, what do you know about data visualization as a specialty? How many years does it take to get to that? Because I am completely new to tech. And then when it comes to data visualization, who's more likely to hire, startups or big corporations? And who's likely to hire a data scientist? So for someone who is new in the industry, is it a startup? Will they hire that, or do you have to go to that big corporation? Thank you.
Yeah. As far as, so let's just focus on the first thing, right? Like the data visualization. I don't know if I've ever, and I don't know everything, so please just keep that in mind. I don't know if I've ever heard of a role that's just does data visualization. You're usually doing some analytics where you're building visualizations that communicate something important in the data, right? And for that, if you just know Python, you can do any of it. Like, it's real simple, because like we teach Matplotlib and Seaborn, which that just creates like an image that's not interactive, but you can also do a visualization in Plotly, which becomes an interactive plot. You could put your data into Tableau and just build visualizations in Tableau. You could use Looker to build your visualizations. And if you, I feel like if you know Python and a database language, which you learn in a bootcamp, you can, like, I picked up Tableau in a matter of a day with a student, and I had never used it. But you do enough Python and you're like, oh, okay, I understand how this works. I get what I need to do. It's not anything too crazy. Now I'm sure there's like insane things that I don't know about it, but for the most part, I'm pretty proficient in Tableau. And so I just think, like, as far as getting a job in data visualization, that's like very heavy on the analyst role and like doing BA stuff for a business. So like being an analyst in some way, shape, or form, you're usually building out dashboards that have a lot of those important visualizations for people. You can also do it as a data engineer, which is kind of a branch of data science where you're building more of data pipelines as well, which not all boot camps cover that stuff because that's all working with big data. So you usually have to like get a role and then phase and then like transition into that role once you're in the industry.
And one other thing, I'm sorry, do you have any good resources for sharpening up on our math skills?
Yeah, I don't, oh gosh, that's a great question. Not off the top of my head, because I study math, I don't like go to the internet to look for a lot of skills. I usually just have books that I read, or I talk to friends who did math, or talk to my mentor. But yeah, I'm like happy to look online for some things. I think like narrowing it down is really helpful. Math is such a broad term that if you're like, hey, I don't want to like improve on math, I want to improve on understanding linear equations, then boom, there's like, that's a much easier resource to find, right? So like for each topic in math, there's definitely things that can help you. Also, when you talked about getting a job, like who's more likely to hire, I don't have any data to support anything I would say, so I don't want to say it, but I would say networking is the most important thing you can do, right? We've all seen people in roles that they were not prepared for, and it's very evident. They got it because of networking. Networking is super powerful. Like, it's a very powerful thing. You got to learn how to say hi to people. You got to learn how to like communicate your skills and show that you are going to bring value to whatever thing that they're doing. So networking, 100% networking. It's just such a, like, you could know everything in the world, but if you can't network, it's going to be hard for you to get a job.
For sure. We even had Gretchen talking at length about these things last week. So definitely check out that YouTube recording because we have it up, and she delved really deep into that. Networking, very powerful.
Yes.
I think right now is a good time for us to take just a quick little break and break out into this little Wheel of Fortune type of giveaway spin. So I'm going to give this a quick little screen share.
That's cool.
Sorry, that came out weird. All right, let's see here. Can you guys see my page right now?
Yes.
Yep.
Sweet. So Raphael actually answered. It looked like we got a ton of really awesome questions using the hashtag Flatiron AMA. I really liked reading a lot of these questions, and hopefully we can get to a couple more of these before we close out tonight. But it's using this Flatiron AMA, and then you guys also helped out populate the new data science discussion. I know a lot of you really wanted to have a place where you can talk about data science stuff, and so I thought this was a really great chance for Raphael to kind of help answer a couple of questions. So definitely check out his answers, and maybe Raphael, if you could like submit maybe a picture so people can put a face and name and remember, that'd be great. But let's pull up this little wheel here. So we got a handful of people in the chat tonight that submitted their questions beforehand. And here we're just gonna go ahead and just select some of the winners for tonight's event. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pull this up right now. It looks like our first winner is Adriana Espinoza. Do we have Adriana in the chat tonight? Adriana, you can go ahead and like unmute yourself, by the way, if you're in here. If not, we'll just keep spinning. No?
I see one in the chat. Yeah.
You see Adriana in the chat?
She's here and she just unmuted, I think.
Hmm.
All right. I'm like, for some reason I can't pull up the chat here. Adriana, is she in here? No? Okay. I guess we'll just have to unfortunately remove her from this one. Hopefully this won't take too much longer. All right, so we have Emily Brown. Oh, nope. Courtney Arnold. Very close.
I'm here.
Cool. Courtney, sweet. Awesome. I'm going to take a quick note here, Courtney. We're just going to go ahead and spin this a couple more times to get everyone else, but I'd love if you could just introduce yourself right after this.
Okay.
So we're going to go ahead and spin one. Jalen. Looks like Jalen's winning a gift card tonight. I know Jalen's in here. Jalen, you want to say what's up really quick? Say hello?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So Jalen's in here. I'm just gonna go ahead and write his name in the chat. We have 4 winners. Sorry, I didn't realize this might have taken a little bit. Fun nonetheless. Oh, Adriana is in the chat, it looks like. Domingo Moronta. Domingo, are you in here? Or Domingo, I should say it. Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
I thought I saw him in here earlier. Okay, cool. So it looks like Adriana is also in here. She actually just messaged me. So I think that will be it for tonight's winners. I'm just gonna write you guys' names on here so we have. All right. Sweet. It looks like all 4 of you have been selected by chance. Very lucky. I'm excited for you guys. Courtney, do you just want to say hello to everybody and just let them know where you're at in your journey? How long ago you kind of downloaded the CK app? What's going on with you?
Sure. I downloaded the CK app about 30 days ago. I'm interested in Flatiron. I've already had my first interview, and I have my technical prep interview coming up in a week and a half, actually. So this was like very important for me because I am trying to pursue data scientists, and I'm in Dallas, Texas, by the way. So shout out to everybody.
Shout out to the Texas fam. Love to see that. Love to see that. Awesome. Hey, Jalen, you want to go ahead and also introduce yourself?
Someone have a question or?
No, you can just like introduce yourself. You can also ask your question, but we'll save that until after everyone goes ahead.
Well, I'm Jalen. I'm 21. I'm from Kansas. I'm going through Kinsey Academy's software engineering program. Just finished my first week. but I've been really interested in data science, and then I'd love to learn Python. I'm going software engineering track, but data science has always interested me. And touching base on the older gentleman, I can't remember his name, Vlad, I think. Our society has been molded and shaped to believe that older people don't have the capacity to do what younger people can. That's not true whatsoever. Like, it doesn't matter what age you are, you can do anything you put your mind to, and that's completely true. So I think it's very, very worth it to pursue it. I mean, that's obviously a battle you have to make with yourself, but I think it's very worth it. And you can do it no matter what. You just have to put your mind to it. You can do it.
I love that. I think that's super accurate and definitely a message that needs to be rung true over and over and over again so people get it. It looks like, so we have Adriana. Adriana, do you want to say hello?
Hey, I figured it out. Hi, everyone. My name is Adriana. I live in Chicago, and like many of you, I'm interested in this data science path. But yeah, I feel like I've been so overwhelmed with the amount of information that's out there that I haven't really really known where to start. Like, I just started coding on Code Academy, and so I think that listening to Raphael was super helpful, just because like he's like, you got to start somewhere, you have to try, you have to believe in yourself. And so yeah, I guess that's where I'm at. I feel much more like inspired and motivated, and yeah, that's my story.
Awesome. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank
Really
you.
awesome. Okay, for sure. Domingo, do you want to go ahead and just introduce yourself to the CK fam and Raphael as well?
Hey everyone, so Domingo here. I definitely resonate with sort of the older crowd. So I've been in I would say the data analysis field for, I'd say, a little over 10 years at this point. So I'm coming from a statistical research background. And data science is one of those things that I've always wanted to jump into, especially because it kind of merged that statistical background with some of the programming. And so I'm pretty new to programming, specifically with Python. And it's something that hearing Raphael's sort of story of being able to kind of like bridge that gap from that sort of academic mathematics background is definitely inspiring. But at the same time, it's a little apprehensive, right? Because I've been doing something for 10 plus years. Should I really switch? Why am I jumping sort of from one career to ostensibly something so completely different? And it's just, you feel like you're stagnating. And that's where I'm at right now with my career. So I just feel like I'm stagnating and I want to take on that challenge. So it's good to see that expectation of like, oh, you're always growing, you're always learning, you're always adapting. So I love that. And yeah, I'll just sort of leave you with that piece of it is never too late, but at the same time, it's good to know that the horizon is always something to strive towards.
Yeah, for sure. I think that what you're doing is incredible. I mean, no one ever wants to just stagnate, right? They always want to feel like they're progressing and moving and growing. So I commend you for doing so. Thanks for sharing, and congratulations to all the winners for tonight. Raphael, did you have from what was just shared, did you have anything that you kind of wanted to dive a little deeper into, or from the questions that you received earlier, anything since we are kind of nearing towards the end of the event? Were there any kind of little rabbit holes that we kind of wanted to dive into as we close this out?
Yeah, so I just wanted to go over some like first steps as far as people who are genuinely interested in doing a boot camp. The first steps is like I would reach out to the boot camp, find an admissions counselor, and make them your absolute best friend. Flatiron School, just to like plug us, is, I mean, it's not even a plug, it's just honest. It's the best organization I've ever worked for in my life. It is awesome because we understand that like learning is not as easy as just going through material and acquiring knowledge. It is an emotional experience. It is a personal experience. It is one of ups and downs, and we just offer support the entire way through your learning journey. But it starts with reaching out to someone at admission. So I would say the first thing you should do is do that, get next steps from them, and do the pre-work, and ask any and all questions, right? Like, even if a question is like, is it possible to chat with an alum? Is it possible to chat with some, whatever. The worst thing that happens is they say no, or, oh, at this time, but not right now, right? Whatever, that's fine. And I would say those are the first big steps. And then as far as like getting prepared into Python, I feel like some really good resources, and I listed them here to just start learning Python. So when I got my job at Bank of America, I had to do Java, and I did not know Java at all. And I told them that in my interview. They were like, do you know Java? And I said, not at all. But I can learn it if you just give me a couple weeks. I'll figure it out. It's just coding, right? And one website that I used was codingbat.com, and you can do /Python. And what's nice is it's just got simple little problems for you to do. And I just literally did problems I could do. So I would find a problem, and if I was like, that looks too hard, I'd go to another one, and I'd go to another one. And I would just start finding things I can do and doing them, building some confidence, and then getting myself ready to do more difficult problems. Another great website is HackerRank. What's great about HackerRank is it's kind of like got scaffolded Python problems, so you can pick the very basics and start learning those and moving your way down. And what's great about HackerRank is it's also super popular, so you can always Google solutions to problems. I don't recommend doing that all the time because you need to learn, but popular things are nice because a lot of people write about them. And so the solutions exist out there for you to see, check your answer, learn some code. And then for people who want to just get more into coding, Code Wars is great. It can be, their UI kind of sucks. But it's a great website. What I love about Code Wars and HackerRank is when you submit solutions, you can see other people's solutions, and you can just learn how you could have written your code way better than you did. And it is awesome to learn from other people. It's so good to see code that was written that does the same thing your code did, but is way more elegant. It's just such a beautiful learning experience. So I just wanted to give y'all some next steps. As far as the math and stuff, I honestly tell students not to worry too much about that. I feel like if you understand the coding, you're probably gonna be fine. Like the math and stuff, you can pick it up. It's just the coding. Because it's the language in which you express yourself, you should really make sure that you're somewhat more fluent in that than anything else, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the prevalent themes that we get is just like, do I need to get really good at math? Like how much math are we talking, right? And then as well as I appreciate all the resources. I'm definitely going to make sure that I capture these, and then we can post them on discussions as well for everyone to make sure that they have those resources available.
Yeah, and if you have any other questions, I think you have my LinkedIn. I don't know if you have my email, but whatever you have from me, feel free to reach out to me, LinkedIn me, whatever. Like my posts if you see them. That's always appreciated. But no, this is awesome. I love talking to people who want to change their lives, right? It's awesome to see everyone excited to do that.
Yeah, that's definitely a commonality with all of these wonderful people that are on this call. Is we all share a goal of just wanting to progress and grow and achieve our dreams. And so commend all of you for really spending like that one hour with us. It's an investment in yourself, right? So really appreciate all of you for joining us. Raphael, you as well. Really awesome to hear all of the insights that you've gained thus far. Before we close out, I'd love to ask you one final question so that the people on this call don't just take what you've said and forget about it the next day, but rather implement it on their day-to-day to progress towards their dreams. So, Raphael, if you were to tell people that they could do one thing this week to help them move towards their goals, what would that one thing be?
Yeah, so I would say if you want to move towards your goals, one big important thing to do is reach out, especially if it's doing a boot camp, reach out to admissions counselors for that boot camp and start talking to them, give them your background, get to know them. They're going to be your best friend until you're in your boot camp, and then your best friend becomes your instructor. Then afterwards, your best friend becomes your career coach. It goes in that order. So you need the admissions person first. So find that admissions person, talk to them, get as much information as possible, and like truly arm yourself with knowledge. It is really you doing that.
For sure. Knowledge is power, and the more that you know, the more that you can do. So definitely seek advice from those that have seen success in the exact things that you are trying to accomplish within your own careers. And Raphael is definitely one of those resources. So definitely use this opportunity to, maybe check out with him in a couple of months, maybe when you're finished with your data science programs and you're like, wow, Raphael, like your words really moved me. I did exactly what you said, and I really appreciate it. I'm sure he would love to hear a lot about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you are applying to Flatiron, let me know. I'll keep an eye out for you on our Slack channel whenever you get enrolled. It'll be exciting. So.
All right. I think for tonight, that concludes our event. Again, I appreciate all of you all taking this time with us. And Raphael, thank you for spending time with us and sharing all the insights that you've had.
Absolutely.
It's been really awesome.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Raphael.
Y'all are awesome.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Raphael. Have a good night.
You too.
Bye.
Good night.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you very much.